Weatherfield's police force has never exactly inspired much trust, but Kit Green makes the whole situation look even worse. From the beginning, he has come across as the kind of man who is always willing to bend the rules as long as he gets the outcome he wants. And the more you watch him, the harder it becomes to deny that Kit is a deeply shady police officer. Viewers will probably still remember how he planted evidence to frame Nathan Curtis for Lauren Bolton's murder. Then there was the way he pressured Beth Tinker into leaving Weatherfield after 13 years on the cobbles. Even more seriously, Kit allowed Mick Michaelis to go to prison for an arson attack that he himself committed, while he went on to join the police force without consequence. All of that makes one thing very clear. Kit has never been the kind of person who puts justice above everything else. He works according to his own code, and for him, the line between right and wrong has become dangerously blurred. That is exactly why his repeated clashes with DS Lisa Swain have never felt surprising. Lisa has called out Kit's underhanded methods many times because she can clearly see the kind of policing he believes in, one built on manipulation, secrecy, and control. Even so, Lisa's attitude has softened slightly since Kit played a part in saving Carla Connor from Becky Swain. That detail makes their dynamic more complicated because Lisa has every reason to be wary of him. But at the same time, she cannot completely ignore the fact that he sometimes shows up at the exact moment he is needed. Meanwhile, Mal Roper has become an increasingly frightening threat. Everything began when Bernie Winter met Mal at the Chariot Square Hotel while she was drowning in grief after the death of Billy Mayhew. What seemed like a chance encounter quickly turned into something much darker, as Mal became so obsessed with Bernie that he took a job in Weatherfield just to be closer to her. But Bernie was never going to leave Dev Alahan, the husband who has remained devoted to her. Once Bernie rejected him, Mal could not handle the reality of it, and that was when his terrifying campaign of harassment began. Kit was clearly pulled deeper into the situation once Bernie told him everything Mal had been putting her through. Given Kit's impulsive nature and his tendency to take matters into his own hands, his reaction was almost predictable. So when the mystery attacker struck Mal and sent him to hospital, it was no longer much of a shock that Kit was the one behind it. What matters more is what happened after that. Kit allowed suspicion to fall on his own mother, even after she was arrested for previously threatening to kill Mal. He also lied to Sarah Platt before finally confessing the truth to her in private. That says a lot about the way Kit operates. He may be capable of fierce anger when it comes to protecting the people around him, but he is nowhere near honest enough to fully take responsibility for what he does. And the trouble does not stop there. When Mal regained consciousness, he immediately told Kit that he knew exactly who had attacked him. For a moment, it looked as though Kit's problems might be over when this week's episode suggested that Mal had fled to Inverness after Jody Ramsey sabotaged his business with a flood of negative reviews. But it is already clear that the story is not going to end that neatly. Upcoming scenes reveal that Mal will return to the cobbles, and this return looks set to bring serious consequences for the people closest to Bernie. The danger escalates when Roy feels unwell, returns early from his Batwatch meeting, and finds that there is no electricity in the flat. He gives Jody the rest of the day off and heads upstairs to bed while Mal watches from across the street. That image alone creates a sense of dread, because Mal no longer feels like a rejected man spiraling out of control. He now seems to be moving towards something far more deliberate and vengeful. Not long after, Carla approaches Dev and Bernie outside the cafe and discovers smoke pouring from Roy's flat. What makes the situation truly horrifying is that everyone believes Roy is still at the Bat meeting, when in reality he is lying unconscious inside, surrounded by deadly smoke. This feels like the story's most frightening escalation yet, because if Roy is not found in time, the consequences could go far beyond harassment and become an outright tragedy. After the dramatic blaze at Roy's rolls, Lisa approaches Kit at the police station and tells him that Mal Roper is accusing him of assault. True to form, Kit immediately puts on an innocent act, keeps his composure, and insists that Mal is just an unstable man with a vendetta against anyone connected to Bernie. On the surface, that explanation sounds believable because Mal is clearly unhinged. But the real problem is that Lisa knows Kit too well. She knows he has crossed lines before. She knows he is capable of burying the truth, and she knows that calm words from Kit often hide something far darker underneath. That is what makes this storyline especially gripping now. Kit may be slowly walking into a trap of his own making. In the past, he has managed to escape by manipulating the circumstances around him or taking advantage of someone else's chaos. But this time, Mal is still alive, Bernie is at the center of the storm, and Lisa is watching closely. If Roy really came close to dying because of Mal's plan, Kit could be pushed into even more extreme action in order to end the threat once and for all. And that could be the moment when he loses everything, from his career to the trust of the people who still stand by him. On one side, there is Mal growing more dangerous by the day. On the other, there is Kit, a man who was never clean to begin with. When those two forms of instability collide, Weatherfield is bound to be shaken even more violently. And the biggest question now is not just whether Lisa will believe Kit, but how far Kit is prepared to go before every secret finally comes crashing into the open. If you want to keep following the most intense Coronation Street developments, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss any upcoming updates.